Hello everyone, and welcome to this session now for Launchpy. And this session will be about creating new things with Launchpy. And we have covered in the different part before how you could retrieve elements, how you could connect to the API and then retrieve elements, or you can download those elements and then look inside those elements, and that can give you sort of reporting, or how you can manage when you have hundred of properties, hundred of rules inside, or thousand of rules. I personally have done that with property with thousand of rules and five or 600 data elements. So it runs quite good, but at some point, you may want to create elements with Launchpy. I don't recommend that use case. I would prefer to use the UI for this. And then you can automate that if you need to create a lot of different elements, then you may need to use Launchpy for that. But otherwise, I believe the UI give you a more intuitive aspect of what is going on when you create elements, and there is heavy lifting that is being done through the UI of connecting the element together or being in the correct um, context, especially when you go talk to a rule component that lives within a rule. So you need to always be aware of that. Libraries, we'll see that in the next video, how they're being handled is it's quite different as well. So it's a tough things to create from Launchpy, but it's possible. And then I wanted to do a quick video on that, and you can either use that or not. At least it gives you the capability of Launchpy again, and then you can go up on this. So remember, we are in the same folder, so we have everything here. So I could actually go to top setup and then import my Launchpy, and I won't create a config file. I already have one, and I will upload my current config file, and you can see again the different elements that are being used. So I will directly go to Launchpy creation. Oh, actually, I need to do a bit more because I need to get my company ID. I almost forget that. So you remember I have my company ID, and then I will get now my new header. I will not print that again. And I can get the different properties from here, but that we won't do that because now what we are able to do, and let me zoom in a bit so you can see better what's going on. What we are going to do first is to create a property. So the thing that you may want to do is, well, you want to create a new property here. So in order to do that, it's even before you request a property. You do LP for Launchpy, or you can do Launchpy, create either config file or property. Remember, I'm doing that by doing dot and then tab, and then it's auto complete the possibilities that are within my module. Then doing shift tab, I can get what is actually required to use to create the property. So you have company ID, the name of the property, the platform. By default, it is web. It returns a dictionary. Actually, you can retrieve more than that because you can, if you return a class, then it will automatically returns you the instance of the class property. If you remember one of my previous videos, I show you that to connect to a property and to see all of the methods available from a property, so seeing the rules, seeing the rule components, seeing the extension, and so on, you need to do this class instantiation that is in property selection. So you see at some point I'm doing the lp dot property, and then I'm passing an object to it that is my selection that have happened here with a comprehensive list. I'm looking for the data analyst property, and then I'm attaching, and then from here I can see the ID, and I can do all of those different elements. So get extension, everything is based on the class that has been instantiated. And when you create a property, you have the possibility to directly return this instance of a class. So what I can do here, I can say new prop for my new property, And then if I remember correctly, I need the company ID. It was CID, I believe. Then the name would be something like demo tutorial. Yeah, that's good enough. Do I need anything else here? I need the platform. The return class is set to true, so I don't need to do anything. And yeah, and a platform, I will keep it in web. That's okay like this. I have it open here. You see that I don't have at the moment a demo property. So when I'm actually doing this, oh, you see it took less than a second to realize. Then I'm reloading my page, and you see that demo tutorial has been created. So in that demo tutorial, obviously you have nothing. You have no events, you have no rules that have been created, no data element that have been created. No, there is one extension actually. There is a core extension that is automatically being filled, and so on and so forth. Same for environment. Actually, we will do that very soon. So actually, the first thing that we will create in that property are the host and environment that you need to create. So let's go on with that. So remember, because I kept the option to return the class to true. Then directly from here, I can create different elements. So you see, this is all of my different options inside my property. I can also get elements. If I do tab, I can get data elements. Everything will be empty, so it makes no sense to do that. But what I want to do is I want to create a host. So I will create a host, and that I need a name, I need host type, and in my case, I will keep Akamai. So Akamai is the default host capability of Launch. And if you want, you can actually use SFTP. And in the case you're using SFTP, you need to provide several information in the quarks. So what are quarks for the people that are new with Python? Those are key value pair, the same way that it is here being displayed, like host type equals something. So I did here with name equals something. But they are not reference in my method yet. Those are open, so I could add even more quarks. So I can put any quarks, um, any key value pair, key value arguments, and then it will be automatically considered here. So I will keep the default one to Akamai, and I will put a name. So I will put uh, default, and because Akamai host type Akamai is already selected for me, I just don't need to new host. I will keep that in host. I just don't need to update that. So I'll do that, and now a new host has been created, and you can see that if I'm reloading that again, it will show me the hosts that have been created, so the default one that I just created now, and so forth. So the next thing you want to do is to create a different environment. So the environment are related to your publishing flow. You need one environment for dev, one environment for staging, and one environment for production. That being said, you can have more than one environment on the development side because several people can work together. But when you start the process of releasing, you will need to have only one. And this is really well done in the UI interface. So you can really see that all of these will need to be included here. And then it will go in and go into publish, and publish. You will have all of those publish environment and libraries directly stacking up one to another, so one's coming up to another. Interesting to know is that the libraries, so those are libraries that you will create here, they will include always the libraries that are on top. So library and development will consider in their environment the library that are in submitted, approve, and publish. the library submitted will be considering the libraries that are in approved and published state, and so forth. So approved is a kind of a bastard state. We'll see that on the next video, because it is actually the published state before it's being built. So it's when you actually agree, going to the next step of the submission, then it's getting published, but it's not being built. So you need to manually say, I want to build that approved library on on my production website. Okay, that being said, let's look at the different options for the environment. So new prop, again, create environment, and looks up what it is. So name, host ID, so I need my host ID, and the stage, so development. So you see that you can have staging and production as well. So what I will do, instead of creating and doing one, doing the stage up, if I remember correctly, development up, sorry, copy pasting that, and doing one, staging, and so on. What I will do, I will create a list of my environment that I will call env with the S, and I will call them development, staging, up, and I want the next one that you have guessed, which is production. Up. So I will do that. I will need my host ID, so it's good that actually I save that element. So new host, and let's look, it should be here, ID up. That's very good. And then I will do a loop, a for loop for environment. So for env in env, new prop, and you see that name is not a key value pair, so and host ID neither. So I can put them I need to put them in order. So the first one will be the name, but it will be env. Then it will be env again. Oh, host ID, sorry, I need to put that. I need to change. And then the stage will be env. Stage equal env. And this is my host ID. So how is it going to do? This is going to actually, let's print it. Print f string doing environment hop env. So it will go through all of those elements that I have put on top. And for each of them, this will create a new environment and do a call, and it will create those three environments for me. We could actually gather them in the list. That's a good idea. Let's even create that above. List env. Okay, env. New env. And list env append new env. So it will actually keep them, and then I can refer to them if I need to later on. So let's turn that, and let's go and see if this works. And you see up, it was doing development, staging, so it directly is doing one by one. And now if I'm looking at my different environment page, hopefully it worked. I have the capability now to actually select an environment. So you see that everything's been done. You have the installation source code that have been generated here. And this actually is a way easier to create to grab that through the UI again. So it's I would always recommend using the UI at some point anyway. Um, then we will need to create some rules, some data elements, and some extension. The thing is that you need to create them in the right order. And the right order means I would always prefer to create, I would always recommend to create the extension first because you will refer the extension in data element and in the rule. In case you are doing a very, let's say, core development and you're only using the core extension, then it's no problem. But at some point, because the core is already been installed, obviously that's why it's no problem. But at some point, you may want to use Adobe Analytics, you want to use other Experience Cloud ID, and so forth. So in that case, you will need to fetch for them. And the way to do that is to do like, let's look at the shop. I mean, it's not really the shop, but to look at the catalog. So let's call it catalog. Catalogs with a S. I like to put I like to put a S on thing that returns more than one element. And in that case, it's not part of this property anymore because the catalog is available for everyone. So it's available directly in Launchpy, and I think it's get something, get extension catalog. Let's see if we are having some option, and you see that you have some availability, the name if you want to filter for a name, and the platform. So let's actually try to filter for analytics. Okay, let's say catalogs analytics. So it returned me something, and now you see this is a list. It starts with this bracket, and you can see here the different elements. So like let's see how many of them there is. Lens catalog analytics. There is 11. So obviously there have been some filtering happening because you have more than 11 extension available. So I definitely have done something with the filtering. And if we look at the first one, we should see that in the name. So set variable, I know it. I think we already have seen it before. It's part of the Adobe Analytics. But let's look at the keys of this because it's pretty big. Okay, type attributes. Most probably, if you remember, I was explaining you that the configuration and the properties are always structured the same way. So we can look at the attributes. Attributes. And most probably there is a name here. And it's Adobe Analytics. So you start to see that, yeah, how you could do that. You can always do my very infamous list comprehension now. I hope you get familiar with it. So let's say element attribute for elements in catalog analytics with a tab. It will automatically. So you can see here Adobe Analytics product string, Adobe Media Analytics. So everything that has analytics in its name has been returned. Oh, actually, not an edit, but it's Reactor Adobe Analytics Product String Builder, so it probably have it in the description. Um, so this is how you can select, and then you can look at here, create, oh, not Launchpy, but again, my new property, new prop, create extension, and you see that it requires extension ID, settings, and descriptor. All of those are required. The settings it can be empty, then it will automatically apply the default settings. But you can the delegate descriptor ID is required. At the end, I would recommend you to duplicate some. So I need the um, Adobe Analytics extension. What I would do, I will look into another property that has it and then duplicate that. We'll see that a bit later in another video. That I feel is the easiest way, because now you need to um, look at all of those elements and find out what is the descriptor's ID and so forth, and gather that. So you see here, here are all of those elements, and you need to find what is the descriptor ID and what is the settings that can be required and so forth. So um, as I already said, it would be better to create that through the UI, especially the extension, because there is usually not 20 of them. But in case you want to duplicate that, or to create like easy way to create a lot of properties, then I would create a template and duplicate that all over and again. Um, Before we wrap up, I want to keep those videos short now. I want to show you how you can create a rule, which is the same, just to give you the idea that it's always the same structure. Create rules. Actually, it should be create rule instead of create rules, because we are creating one by one. And you can see that it's only require a name, and this is my new rule. So again, not even a second has passed, and I have my rule that has been added here. And you can see that now I can attach, so I have an ID, and I can do a new prop, create rule component, and here you see that you have a name, some settings, description, and you have some extension information that is required in case you want to have an extension attached to it. and rule information. You have some information here, how in the doc string, how you can retrieve that information. So um, it's important that you do this correctly. You can see that there is a translator, and you didn't speak about it yet, but there is some helper function that I will present to you, and that will help you uh, extracting those information in order to reuse them within the Launchpy environment. We didn't cover everything in details. I mean, there are some documentation in the GitHub. I hope that was helpful to get you started. And then from there, I wish you good luck. Obviously, you can always go to the reference of those elements. It's not magic. Everything that I've done is basically a wrapper around the API, so you can guess what I'm asking for information if you read the documentation of the API as well. Um, and so I let you to that. You have your part of the job to do in order to use it, and good luck with that. Have a great day. Speak to you soon.